Imagine you're an 85-year-old corporate executive. You've put in your time, built your legacy, and earned a really comfortable retirement. But instead of heading to a beach, you walk into the boardroom and volunteer to take over the company's most terrifying, guaranteed to fail turnaround project.
Right, a division that's like so notoriously toxic that 10 previous executives basically ran away from it in absolute terror.
Exactly. Welcome to this custom deep dive. Today we're taking your sources, ancient biblical narratives from Joshua chapter 14, paired with secular insights from figures like FDR and Zig Ziglar, and exploring a very specific mission.
Yeah, the mission of uncovering how our choices actively shape our reality.
Right, because, well, as FDR noted, the choices we make today shape the reality of tomorrow. And Zig Ziglar famously argued that our choices, not our circumstances, dictate our lives.
Which is such a great setup, because we're looking at a text that uses the ancient story of Caleb to make a universal point about navigating incredibly difficult environments.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. Because Caleb is that 85-year-old executive in our analogy. And the doomed turnaround project he volunteers for is a piece of real estate called Hebron.
Yeah, Hebron.
Right. And 10 other spies scouted this land and basically said, abandon ship, it's impossible. So hold on, you're losing me here. Actively choosing the exact thing your peers are terrified of. I mean, is that just blind optimism?
It definitely looks reckless from the outside. But to understand the why behind his choice, we have to look at the theological framework the source is using.
Okay.
The author argues Caleb wasn't operating on optimism, but on a standard of absolute completeness provided by divine grace.
Wait, like absolute completeness?
Exactly. The text actually uses the Protestant Reformation concept of solus Christus, or only Christ, to explain this.
Wait a minute. Solus Christus? I mean, that's a 16th century Reformation concept. How on earth does that apply to an ancient Old Testament historical figure?
That is a really great catch. The author is applying a retrospective theological lens here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and reporting this impartially, within this specific belief system, the core idea is that true completeness relies entirely on God's grace. So if you believe the divine promise is absolute, then the limitations and terror of the crowd like those 10 terrified spies become completely irrelevant.
Wow, so human fear simply doesn't factor into the math for him.
Not at all.
So because he genuinely believes the backing is absolute, the risk is zero, even if the crowd thinks it's, 100%.
Exactly. Caleb and Joshua made a confession of faith instead of fear. And the result of that anti-crowd choice was just staggering.
Right, because Hebron was transformed, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went from a dreaded environment into a masterpiece, became a vital city of refuge offering sanctuary, and eventually the very place where Caleb's descendant David became king.
That's wild. So if human fear was totally irrelevant to him, how did that actually manifest on the ground? I mean, how do you actively lead a project that everyone else thinks is a suicide mission?
Well, this is where strategy gets really fascinating. He operated as a hidden leader.
A hidden lead?
Yeah, he embraced a mechanism the source calls the 3 Ns.
Okay, what are the 3 Ns?
First, he chose nothing, taking the feared land that looked valueless to human eyes. Second, he chose no one, opting for the hidden dirty work that everyone else ignored.
Oh, wow.
Right. And third, he chose nobody, needing nobody's help or validation except God's. He embodied coram Deo, living before God alone, and soli Deo gloria, glory to God alone.
So what does this all mean for us? It's essentially the ultimate anti-influencer mentality.
That is a perfect way to put it.
He's not doing it for the applause or the visibility, right? He's deliberately yielding the spotlight so the actual difficult work gets done.
Exactly. It's about living for an audience of one, doing the work solely for God's glory, not public recognition. You see this in how he actually fought the battle.
Right, because he's 85 at this point.
Yeah, Caleb is the 85-year-old spiritual commander leading the charge, but he doesn't even need the glory of finishing it himself.
Wait, he doesn't finish it?
No, he literally passes the torch. He steps back and lets his son-in-law, Othniel, complete the final conquest of the land.
Oh, that is fascinating. He takes the hardest first step and lets someone else cross the finish line. You just don't see people do that today.
You really don't.
And the historical payoff for this anti-influencer high-risk choice was massive, wasn't it?
Huge. Caleb's conquest ultimately brought rest from war. Through one person's choice to tackle the hardest, most hidden work, peace came to the entire nation.
And it laid the foundation for an eternal kingdom through David.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that true leadership isn't forged in the spotlight. It's trained in the small, everyday choices to value the hidden work.
That really flips the script on how we look at our own challenges. We're constantly told to find the easiest path to the biggest reward to make sure everyone sees our wins.
Oh, 100%.
But maybe the most valuable work is the exact work everyone else is running away from, which leaves you with a pretty challenging question to ponder as you go about your day. If our choices truly dictate our future, what is the Hebron in your own life? What is that guaranteed to fail turnaround project you are currently avoiding simply because the crowd is telling you it's just too difficult?